assuming this is not the first time we've come to this channel. If it is the first time, welcome. This is a new video of a video that I did last time, but this time I'm trying to be better in making it, because last time it went horrible. So this is my Silas, Renn, Seeker Adept, and Bruse, Tarl, Bruse Herder deck. It revolves around the fact that Silas, Renn has an effect that brings back artifacts from the graveyard, and Bruse, Tarl supports it with double strike. So what Silas, Renn does specifically is, for a generic, a blue and a black, so the mirror colors, it is a legendary artifact creature, human, with Death Touch, and whenever he deals combat damage to a player, choose target artifact card in your graveyard. You may cast that card this turn. And he has partner, and he's a 2/2. So when he says you may cast that card, you can't play lands from that effect because lands are not castable. The other commander is Bruse, Tarl, Bruse Herder. So for 2 generic, a red and a white, so both colors, so it's 4 colors altogether, he gives a target creature you control double strike and lifelink until end of turn when he enters or attacks. And he has partner as well, so I can play both as my commander. So I'm going to go straight into the deck. So first up, it is Bazooka Bog. It comes in tapped, and it exiles all cards from target player's graveyard, and it taps for a black. This is really good against other graveyard-centric decks because it slows them down, though people may be playing it against this deck as well. Next is Command Tower. It taps for any color in my commander's color identity, so anything but green, and it comes in untapped. I would say if it comes in tapped if it says it. Cavern of Souls. As it enters, you choose a creature type, and it can either tap for colorless or 1 mana of any color, but it can only be used to cast a creature spell of the chosen type, and that spell can't be countered. So most of the time we'll be picking human because both our commanders are human. I don't think there'll be a time when we won't be picking human. Next is Reliquary Tower. This is so we have no max hand size. Might take it out for a better land because we do want cards in the grave. Next are some lands that come into play untapped if we have 2 or more lands. Those being Storm-Carved Coast, which taps for blue or red, Silas Sanctum, which taps for white or black, Shipwreck Marsh, which taps for blue or black, and Deserted Beach, which taps for white or blue. Next are some temples, them being Temple of Silence. These come in tapped, but a square one, which means you look at the top card of your deck and you may keep it on top or put it at the bottom. So this taps for white or black, this taps for red or white, this taps for blue or red, and this taps for blue or black. Next are some more lands that come into play tapped, but these are deserts that deal 1 damage to target opponent. So it's Sour Springs, which taps for blue or black, Forlorn Flats, which taps for white or black, Abraded Bluffs, which taps for red or white, and then Eroded Canyon, which taps for a blue or red. Next are bounce lands. So when they enter, they return a land to you control to the hand. So this taps for both a red and a white. This taps for both a white and a blue. This taps for both a black and a red, and this taps for both a blue and a black. Lastly are both artifact lands and basics. So for the artifact lands, I'm playing Darksteel Citadel, which taps for colorless and is indestructible. Grey Furnace, which taps for red. Fourth Whispers, which taps for black. Save the Standout, which taps for white. No, blue. An ancient down with types of white. Lastly, are the basics, which I'm playing 2 of each. So 2 mountains, 2 swamps, 2 islands, and 2 plains. Next, I'm going to talk about the non-land cards, starting with my mana ramp. So first is Lotus Petal, probably the best card in the deck because it costs 0. It's basically a treasure that you can cast for free. It sacrifices itself to add 1 mana of any color, which Silas Renn can bring back later. Next is Soul Ring, because every deck needs a Soul Ring, apparently. Not green though, green is already good at ramp. Manifold Key, I put it in this because Soul Ring can make it, because it can make Soul Ring tap for more mana, but it can also make my commander unblockable if need be. Next is Next is Arcane Signet, which taps for 1 mana of any color in my commander's color identity, just like Command Tower. Farewell Stone, which taps for a mana of any color in that an opponent's land could produce. Mind Stone, which taps for colorless, but can pay 1 sack it to draw a card. Prize Statue, which doesn't tap for mana, but it creates treasures when it enters or is put into the graveyard from the battlefield. Next is Foundry Inspector, which makes my artifact spells 1 less to cast. Quarkland Ironworks, I can sack an artifact to generate 2 colorless mana. Joyous Familiar, which makes historic spells 1 less to cast, and it has flying. Solemn Simulacrum, which when it enters, I may search for a basic, and when it dies, I may draw a card. A new addition to the deck, Ugin the Inevitable. I can't say the last word, so this is the Inevitable. He's a planeswalker with 4 loyalty, and he makes your colorless spells 2 less to cast. He can exile your top card by plus 1ing him. And you can look at it whenever you want. You create a 2/2 colorless spirit, and when that token leaves the battlefield, you put the exile card into your hand. Storm Default, it's here because it gives you treasures, but on the back side, it turns into Evolve Catlacan, which can tap for blue mana equal to the number of artifacts you control. Next is Tesseret, Master of the Bridge. It gives your creatures and planeswalkers affinity for artifacts. It has 5 starting loyalty. You can plus 2 him to deal X damage to each opponent, where X is the number of artifacts you control. You gain X life. You can -3 him to return an artifact from your graveyard to your hand, and you can -8 to exile the top 10 cards of your library, and you put all artifacts from among them onto the battlefield. Next is Ethereum Sculptor, which makes your artifacts 1 less to cast. And lastly, Smothering Tithe, because who doesn't love Smothering Tithe? Whenever an opponent draws a card, they either pay 2 mana or give you a treasure. Next up is Card Advantage. So first up is Mishra's Bauble. It costs 0, and you can sacrifice it to look at the top card of anyone's library, and you draw a card at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep. Next is Chromatic Star. I put it here because whenever it is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you draw a card. Elsewhere Flask is in here because it can draw a card, but it can also sacrifice itself to make your lands become a basic land type until end of turn. It's in here mainly because it draws a card and can sacrifice itself. Next is Ico Wellspring. It draws you a card when it enters or is put into a graveyard from the battlefield. Baleful Strix. It has Flying and Death Touch, and when he enters, you draw a card. Great for early game blocking. Next is Toiwa with like Captain. Whenever you cast a historic spell, you draw a card. Historic spells are artifacts, legendaries, and sagas. Next is Imskir, Iron Eater. He has affinity for artifacts, and when he enters, you draw X cards and lose X life, where X is half of the number of artifacts you control. Round it down. And you can pay 3 generic and a red, and you sacrifice an artifact for him to deal damage equal to its mana value to any target. Next is Swerve Invention. For X and 3 blue, it has Improvise, which means you can tap your artifacts to help pay for it. You can search for an artifact from your library with mana value X or less and put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. Next is Consider. It has to fail 1. Early versions of it doesn't say it, but look at the top card of your library. You may put it into your graveyard, draw a card. Next is Enlightened Tutor, which lets you search for an artifact or enchantment, reveal it, shuffle your library, then put that card on top. Next is Enter the Enigma. This works double duty for the deck because it makes your commander unblockable and it draws a card. Next is Faithless Looting. It draws you 2 cards, then discards 2, and it has flashback, so you can cast it again later if you want to. Goblin Welder. By tapping him, you choose an artifact a player controls and an artifact in that player's graveyard. If both targets are still legal as a result, you both sacrifice the artifact and return the artifact to the battlefield. So let's say I have Prize Statue in my grave and Solemn on the field. I can sacrifice the Solemn to bring this back. Next is Esper Sentinel. Whenever an opponent casts their first non-creature spell each turn, you draw a card unless they pay X, where X is its power. Normally it's 1, and I don't know if I can, but I can improve its power. Next is Baron Rivalry, which is Deadly Dispute. You, as an additional cost to cast it, you sacrifice an artifact or a creature, and you draw 2 cards and create a treasure. Next is Grab the Prize. As an additional cost to cast a spell, discard a card. You draw 2, and if the discarded card was a non-land card, it deals 2 damage to each opponent. Next is Archwold, Fiddlebender. So, by paying a white, tapping it, and sacrificing an artifact, you search your library for an artifact card with mana value equal to 1 plus the sacrifice mana value of the artifact. Don't know why I said it really, but there you go. You put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. Activate only as a sorcery. For example, if I had this, I can sacrifice it to go get Outlaw Flask because 2 is 1 plus 1. Next is Frantic Search. You draw 2, discard 2, and untap up to 3 lands. Really great for discarding some artifacts. Same with Faithless Looting. Next is Fabricate. It gets you any artifacts you want from your library and put it into your hand. Next is Lucio, which prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to attacking artifact creatures you control. And whenever one or more artifact creatures you enter the battlefield under your control, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. Next is Feather Clan Archmage. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, you draw a card. They're ready. I think this is my last Planeswalker for the deck. I hope. So, starting roll release 3. When you discard, you plus 2 him to discard up to 2 cards, then draw that many cards. then you can.
Sorry, I need to Hoover. Is that going to be okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, okay, cool. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you.
Yeah, it's fine. You can manage to him to sacrifice an artifact, and if you do, return an artifact from your graveyard to the battlefield. Lastly is Bold Assisted to Death. You may look at the top card of your library at any time, and you may play lands and cast spells from the top. So, Bolas of Citadel lets you look at the top card of your library. You may play lands and cast spells from the top of your library. If you cast a spell this way, pay life equal to its mana value rather than paying its mana cost. And you can tap it and sacrificing 10 non-land permanents, and each opponent loses 10 life. So that's it for the card advantage. Next up, it is Graveyard Shenanigans. So, first up is Surface Schematic. I didn't add this to any of the others because it just creates a server when it enters or is put to a graveyard from the battlefield. Next is Mirror Retriever, which when it dies, returns another target artifact from your graveyard to the hand. Junk Diver, which is the same but it has flying. Scrap Trawler, which is similar. When he or another artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you get to return to your hand a artifact card in your graveyard with lesser mana value. Next is Etherworks Marvel. Whenever a permanent you control is put into a graveyard, you get 1 energy counter, and you can tap it and pay 6 energy to look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may cast a card from among them without paying the cost, and put the rest at the bottom. Next is Biblioplex Assistant. It has flying, and when he enters, you get to put up to 1 target artifact, no, instant or sorcery from your graveyard on top of your library. It'll make sense in a bit. Next is Mayhem Devil, which whenever a player sacrifices a permanent, Mayhem Devil deals 1 damage to any target. Next is Sharum, the Hedgemon. Oh my god, it's a Digimon. He has flying, and when he enters, you may return a target artifact card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Next is Crime Novelist. Whenever you sacrifice an artifact, he gets a personal counter, and you add 1 red mana to your mana pool. Next is the Fiend's Reclamation. You get to return a permanent card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. If it was cast from a graveyard, you may copy it and choose new targets for the copy. Next, it is Base Reward. This is the reason for the assistant. It returns to the battlefield all permanents that were in your graveyard that are put there from the battlefield this turn. So, if you have the mana, you can keep bringing it back. Next is Interaction. So, first is Stolgar Lantern. When it enters, you exile a card from a graveyard. You can tap, sacrifice it, and exile each opponent's graveyard. And you can pay 1, tap it, and sacrifice it to draw a card. Next is Dolphin's Veto, which can't be countered, and it counters target non-creature spell. Next is Permission Denied, which also counters a non-creature spell, but it prevents your opponent from casting more non-creature spells this turn. Next is Dispatch, which either taps a creature or exiles it if you control 3 or more artifacts. Next is Counterspell, which counters a spell. Unwind, which counters non-creature spell, and untaps up to 3 lands. Chaos Warp, which shuffles a permanent back into the deck, and then its owner reveals the top card. If it's a permanent, they put it onto the battlefield. Lastly is Rewind, which counters a spell and untaps into 4 lands. Lastly, also miscellaneous cards. So first up are three swords, which are Sword of Fortune Future, Sword of War and Peace, and Sword of Feast and Famine. They each give +2/+2 and protection from 2 colors. Fortune Future gives protection from blue and black, and whenever the equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, use a failed 2. Then you may cast an instant or sorcery from your graveyard with mana value 2 or less without paying the cost. If that spell would be put into your graveyard, exile it instead. Next is War and Peace, which gives protection from red and white. Whenever the equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, the sword deals damage to that player equal to the number of cards in their hand, and you gain 1 life for each card in yours. And Sword of Feast and Famine, which gives protection from black and green, and whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, that player discards a card and you untap all lands you control. Next is Reckless Fire Reaver, which whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, deals 1 damage to each opponent. Next, I should have put this in the graveyard, but oh well. Ancient of the Iron Throne gives your commander creatures you own. Whenever an artifact or creature you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life. Backgrounds work especially well if you have partners because it gives both your commanders them, meaning whenever you sacrifice an artifact, each opponent will be losing 2. Okuma's Will, which choose 1, but I can choose both if I control a commander as I cast a spell. Creatures you control have Flying, Vigilance and Double Strike, Lifelink, Indestructible, and Protection from all colors. Lastly is Enroaching Macrosith, which turns all my non-opponents into artifacts. That's whether they're on the field or anywhere else. So that's it for the deck. Thanks for watching. See you next time.